Welcome to the 111th video in our series about Unix tools. In this video, I will install the bleeding edge valgrind version from Git. The website URL for the valgrind software is here. So let's take a quick look. If you go to that website, you're going to see something like this. And you'll see valgrind current version is 3.23.0. And so you might wonder, all right, what valgrind do I have here? Well, the system valgrind is 3.21, which is antique. And the other thing is, if you look on the left under source code, you can get a release, or you can go with the code repository. So let's go with the code repository and see what we get. And it tells you source code repository. The current repository has a web interface, and here is the Git stuff. And they tell you after you pull from Git, you're going to have to do an autogen, and then a configure, and then a make. Okay? Or if you want to install, you do an autogen, configure with a prefix, a make, and a make install. This is going to be us, and we're going to do it very similar to the VIM. So let's get started. We can copy that. We need to make a place to work. Sorry about the coughing. So first we do a git clone. And you notice that it's working hard. It's grabbing all the data, downloading it, receiving objects. So again, for those of you on some kind of dial-up or slow link, you might want to do this in the middle of the night, or you might want to visit someplace on campus that has faster networking, or a good coffee shop. It's going to take a little while to download all of this stuff. And there are two reasons for that. One is the upstream site here. You notice it's at sourceware.org. It's not at GitHub. Sourceware.org is smaller, and they don't have as many copies everywhere, so it's a little bit slower. But it's done now. And if we take a look, you're going to see we have the valgrind right here. And we can do a git tag. And you see, wow, there's lots of versions, including the 3.23.0 right there, which is the latest one. If we do a git log, you can see we're on head on the master branch with a change from September 1. And again, that's yesterday. So if I wanted that latest version, I can't get that any other way except from pulling from version control. I'm here. Now the instructions, if you remember, let's go back, take a look. They said you have to do an autogen, okay? And that's because they don't ship a configure. So let's do it, autogen.sh. These messages are all normal. And you can see now we have a configure. So if we say a configure help, and we'll put that into our favorite file, Bob. Make sure you don't have a real file called Bob. And we can take a look at Bob. Okay, it looks very similar to the VIM with the same stuff at the top, and some enable and disable stuff. Okay, now if we think about things a little bit, we're going to say, what do I really need? At least the number of choices is smaller. I think we only need 64-bit. So we're going to go with that. Configure prefix equals home local, and then enable only 64-bit. Are we ready? Sure, we're ready. We hit the button. And again, this is all just checking what your particular distribution has or it does not have. And you notice this prints a nice summary, which we don't get from the VIM one. But what have we got? It's for AMD 64, which is correct. And we're 324.0 from Git. I like it. Let's build it. So we're going to go with that make -J8. Because we have 8 cores in this virtual machine. And we don't even have to know how to build it, really. We just have to know how to run the commands to build it, because upstream is taking care of all the rest of it. So wonderful. What have we got? And you'll look at that and you'll say, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I don't see any valgrind. Uh-huh. We do have something. And you can see there it is. It doesn't link in the whole world or anything. It looks pretty good. So let's do a make -N install and see where it's going to go. We told it the prefix was home local, but you know, it's always good to double check. And yes, everything's going into home local. So take the in back out. There it is. Wonderful. Check our path. And you notice because we did that work in the previous video, home local bin is on the path. So if we say which valgrind, it says that one. And when we do valgrind version, we get the wrong one. We're so heartbroken. Remember that hash -R. Uh-huh. Because I ran valgrind version before I did all my work, the shell hashed it. So even though the which command, which really looks on the disk, knows where to go, bash thinks it's smart and uses the cache version. But if you do the hash -R to tell bash, hey, forget about the cache, then it will run this one, which gives us the version of valgrind that we wanted. So we've built the bleeding edge valgrind. This has got every single bug fix there is for valgrind, which is what we wanted. And if we do a git log, we can see all those things. And if you say, well, how much stuff changed since the last official release and this version? Well, we can see the last official release there. So we can do a git log from there to head. And it might be a little overwhelming. So you might go with a git short log and you get this. And we learned many other ways to git log. But you see there's a lot of fixes for mainframe. There's fixes for MIPS, which is still used on some embedded things. But there are also some general purpose fixes. Stuff for AARch 64, which is not us. ARM 64, which is not us. And you might think, well, why do I even care? Well, you know, here's a bug that happens for everybody, including us. So there are bugs fixed with this version that you would not get if you chose the latest release, and this is much newer than the version available on my Ubuntu that I have installed. I have an old one. My Ubuntu is pretty old, so some of that's my fault. I'm running 2310, and today there's 24041, but I haven't upgraded because I don't want to break anything. And this is a good way to show you that you can still have the new software on the old distro if it's not too old. And this distro is not too old. It's new enough that it has C11, and that's what valgrind and vim need. So great, we've built another tool. And this one didn't go from GitHub, this one went from Sourceware. And we just sort of followed this pattern. What they said worked. It was pretty easy. And we're done with this video. Thank you for listening.